Welcome, everybody. Welcome to episode number 117 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I am your host, Mike Ayalon, CEO of Greek University. We call these episodes Fraternity Foodie because there is nothing like great food to bring people together. Today, we have with us leadership and resilience speaker, Nick DeStefano. He is the founder of DeStefano Leadership LLC, and he teaches college student leaders how to embrace the suck of pain and fear so they can live resiliently and start chasing the awesome life. If student leaders want to avoid burnout, then they need to learn the practical tools required to have these difficult conversations, to develop confidence, and to make leadership a priority regardless of the position that you have in the organization. Nick brings infectious energy, hope, and passion to everything that he does. Welcome to the show, Nick.
What's up?
What's up?
Hey, Michael.
Nick D, it is a pleasure to have you on the show. I absolutely love your energy. I watch your videos, I check out your website, and I'm like, this guy is on it. He needs to be on the show.
Yes, I'm excited to be here. I love what you're doing.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. You know, it's just a labor of love, you know. Somebody hopped onto the website the other day and they're like, Mike, you know, you can just look at the website and understand that you just love doing what you do. And I said, I'm glad that it comes through the page, you know, because
Yes.
I do. I love leadership. I love fraternity and sorority. I love everything about it. And you know, when it's done right, I mean, it's the best leadership experience around.
It absolutely is, you know, and it is. It's a labor of love. I think it's important to remember it's a labor, and leadership is that way. Like, this isn't easy, which is why I talk about embracing the suck. And when it's done right, it's not easy. I'm excited to be here and talk to you for sure.
Yeah, listen, there's a lot of suck going on right now during COVID, so we're going to get into that for sure. But you know, I think it's important for our audience to understand where you came from, right? So you decided to attend College Misericordia in Dallas, Pennsylvania, for both your undergraduate degree and also for your master's program. Interestingly enough, of course, they changed their name to Misericordia University in 2007. But why was this the right place for you for your college experience?
I love that question. You know, I was actually there when they changed the name, was on a committee of students, one of the students who helped to represent the decision to change from CM to MU and still have some of those throwback College Misericordia shirts from back in the day. But I actually went to school for physical therapy. I thought, I want to go in for physical therapy. Like, this is it. And I got so involved in anything and everything imaginable that I ended up switching my major 2 years into it. I was one of those students who switched their majors, but I ultimately stayed because of the people around me. The people that were a part of my life at those 4 years, and then ultimately 2 years after, made me who I am today. And so I stayed for that reason. I got my undergrad in interdisciplinary studies. I could have gone somewhere else and, you know, probably have less student loan debt today if I did that. But I chose to stay because the people around me really, truly cared for me. And I had strong relationships and bonds with so many people that I loved it at Misericordia. It was a small school, and I felt at home.
Yeah. Well, you got some throwback t-shirts that might be worth a lot of money. So you want to hold on to those t-shirts because those are the OG. I mean, that's original stuff right there.
They sure are.
And I thought it was interesting too. You decided to stay because of the people that were around you and the relationships that you built. I think that's an important lesson for college students that are listening right now that are concerned with retention in their student organizations. You stayed because of the relationships around you, period. End of story. People cared about you.
Yeah, I didn't stay for my major, that's for sure.
So, you know, the other thing that's interesting about you is usually we can find you at the CrossFit gym. You coach athletes on improving their technique and consistency while gaining strength, speed, and power. I'm wondering, where did this love of CrossFit from? And as someone who has never done CrossFit, but I do work out at the gym, why is it so beneficial for athletes?
Okay, so I love CrossFit because someone else got me into it. They oftentimes we say CrossFit is a cult. CrossFit is really, truly a community of people who are trying to be better. Doesn't that sound a lot like a fraternity or a sorority?
Sure.
Right? A group of people who want to move themselves forward in terms of their fitness, both physically and then I think also mentally. You know, when we look at CrossFit, oftentimes as a coach, we remind people that it starts with mechanics, consistency, and then intensity. You know, you can't walk into a CrossFit gym or anything in terms of physical fitness and just be doing the heaviest thing or the fastest thing in the gym. And we start by being simple in terms of our mechanics and doing things basic, right? Then can we do those basics consistently? And then when we can do that, we can increase intensity. And it should be the same thing when we're thinking about leadership, when it comes to resilience, when it comes to even our mental health, right? All of it is mechanics, consistency, and intensity. So I love the carryover from the CrossFit gym into my life. And then also, again, go back to that community. Now, COVID has obviously changed things up. I haven't coached inside the gym in quite some time. Everything is virtual. I do most of my stuff in my home gym, in my garage, but I still keep in touch with the people and we're constantly chatting. And I've gotten more into things outside. So now I'm actually marathon training and doing that on my own, but still doing it with other people that want me to be better and that want to be better themselves.
Yeah, I love it. Now I'm starting to see the similarities between CrossFit and leadership and, you know, how all of these things are kind of intertwined. It's really interesting.
Sure.
That's really nice. And, you know, you're always presenting on service excellence and leadership at Coastal Carolina University, and you've been working there for almost 10 years, which is amazing. Talk to us a little bit about what you do there on campus and why is Coastal Carolina such a great community to work for?
Yeah, I've got a pretty cool job. I'm not going to lie. I get to work with both students and with faculty and staff, and I get to provide training on everything from leadership to service excellence. And, you know, what I love about Coastal, and again, it's why I've stayed here for 10 years, because my background at Coastal originally was in university housing. I lived on campus in a dorm with students and, you know, then transitioned from that to working with student organizations and student leadership and helping student orgs to be better. But for me, what I love is, again, the community. And you'll probably sense that theme with me as we talk throughout this time together, but the people here are what make it so amazing. I came down here and never thought I would move from Dallas, Pennsylvania to Myrtle Beach and stay. My wife and I moved down. Never thought we'd stay longer than a few years. And it's going to be almost 10 years now. And it's because the people here have allowed me to be the best version of myself. They've allowed me to use my strengths. They've put me in positions where I could succeed and help others to succeed as well. And I think that's key. You have to be in the right position. I wouldn't have stayed 10 years if I was doing something I didn't enjoy. And I wouldn't have stayed 10 years if I didn't have the people around me to help me enjoy it.
Totally agree. I mean, if you told me that I was going to be living in Tennessee of all places, I'm a New Yorker born and bred. And if you told me earlier in life that you're going to settle in Tennessee and you're going to be living there for now 9 years, close to the 10 that you're there at Coastal, you know, I would say there's no way. Nope. But you know what? I mean,
no chance.
There's no chance. I would never in a million years say that. But, you know, just never know what opportunities are thrown your way and where you start to feel comfortable and where you start to build that community. And you're absolutely right. I mean, it's a community in our neighborhood where essentially everybody is going from house to house, you know, dinner parties, wine parties, you know, their kids are at our house, our kids are over at their house, and it's one big community. And we just live on this, you know, back of a cul-de-sac where everybody is just everybody's kid. I mean, if that makes any sense, you know?
No, that's fantastic. And it helps too when you have people that allow you to do that, you know, when you're in a place where you feel comfortable.
Right. So let's talk right now because, you know, COVID, obviously, this is really tough for students right now. And I'm sure you're hearing it over and over again. Today's college students are stressed about COVID-19 and possibly, you know, contracting the virus. They're stretched way too thin. You know, there's all kinds of Zoom fatigue that's happening out there. All of these things are going on. But you actually think that them being stretched way too thin and being stretched is actually a good thing. So why do you think this is a good thing?
Okay, so people often ask me something similar to that because, when I tell people you need to embrace the suck, you need to learn to love it, people often look at me like I'm a little bit weird or strange, but it really is a good thing. And it's all about how we frame things, because it's tough right now, but when you graduate, it doesn't get easier, right? We often say, people say adulting is hard. Yeah, it freaking sucks. Like, taxes are difficult. I don't like doing them. You know what? Ground beef is expensive. Go to the grocery store and it's like, wait, what? Why does this cost so much money? Like, the things that we experience in college are preparing us for the future. And if we just go through all of the good, then when the fit actually does hit the shan, right? Like when things go wrong and we're not prepped for it. And I say it like that because I don't know who's listening. I just want to be fair and kind to everyone, right? But when things go wrong, and they do, and you're not prepared for it, then you can't use your leadership skills, because you can practice leadership all day long and acquire all these skills. But if you don't have the belief in yourself at the end of the day, then it doesn't matter. So, I often tell people, right? Fear is just an opportunity to be brave. That's all it is. It's not a bad thing. It's about how we reframe it. So whatever it is you're going through right now is just preparing you for the future.
Yeah, I really love that. I was talking about this actually earlier this morning. My friend Matt, who works for Temple University, and he's in charge of the Greeks there, he had all of his friends who were chapter presidents before write letters to the students right now. And I thought it was just a fascinating activity. And of course, as soon as I saw this on Facebook, I'm like, Matt, I'm in. I'm going to email you a letter to one of your chapter presidents right now. And so that was basically the crux of it, which is that, hey, I'm not going to pretend to know what it was like to be chapter president during a pandemic, because I was chapter president. We didn't have a pandemic, straight up, right?
Nope.
And that's hard. That is hard. But I said, as CEO, I would hire you in a heartbeat because of the suck, because you are able to overcome the suck. That makes it so you are more appealing to me, because you're going to be a problem solver and you're going to be resilient. And that's what I need you to be, because the real world, boy, it can hit you and hit you hard. And so if you can embrace the suck, if you can be resilient and get over some of those barriers that we're talking about right now during the pandemic, you're going to be really valuable to me going forward.
Amen to that.
Yeah, that's really good. Now, in terms of fraternities and sororities, like, we all know about the social events, and certainly I think that is a draw for some students. But for me, how do we make leadership in fraternities and sororities a personal pursuit? So in other words, how do we offer everybody the opportunity to serve and positively impact other human beings?
That's such a great question. And I think it starts with the people who actually have the leadership position, right? The people who have the titles. We've done this thing in organizations and in colleges and universities, and even just nationwide and worldwide, where we put leadership on this pedestal, and we believe leadership is something that, one day I'm going to achieve it. So then when we actually achieve it, we feel like all this pressure on ourselves to do everything. I have to take on all of the responsibility because I'm now the chapter president. And sorry, but that's BS. Like, that's nonsense. And it starts with framing it for your organization. If you are the person in charge, that everyone here matters, that everyone has strengths, that everyone has values, and you have to put people in positions to show their value. You have to allow them to fail. You have to put them in places to say, hey, I know you're good at this, John, so we're going to give you this responsibility. You're not, it doesn't have a title, but this is what you're going to do because you are a leader. You have to tell people that they're a leader before they get into the actual role. Like, you don't need the title to actually make a difference or positively impact people. But if you have the title, you need to tell people that they can make the difference. If you don't tell them, no one's probably told them before, and they're sitting there thinking the same thing that you thought before you got in the role. Someday I'm going to be the president of this organization. No, stop waiting for someday. Let's do something today.
100%.
Stop waiting. Do it now.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And I think, students in today's fraternities and sororities and student organizations, they need to hear it from the leaders, that the leaders believe in them. You have to tell them that.
Yes.
You have to tell them that I see you as chapter treasurer because of the following reasons, right?
Yeah.
And really lay it out for them. And suddenly what you're going to see is suddenly they're going to sit up a little bit straighter in their chair. And now suddenly they're going to believe that they can do it because of your faith in them, because you place that faith in them. They look up to you, and now suddenly they believe they can do it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. That's everything.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about. Yeah.
I love it.
Sure.
And the other thing I've been thinking about too recently, I'm working with a local fraternity in Texas, and it's easy to procrastinate, right? I mean, I see the procrastination happening. I see sometimes they're making excuses for non-performance. Maybe they're blaming other people, like it's the university's fault, the alumni are to blame. I mean, I hear all kinds of blame going around. So I'm wondering, how do organizations discover what their own issues are, what their blind spots are, so then they can then positively impact other people?
Yeah, I mean, I often ask myself, and I ask others, do you like being wrong? Like, do you like when someone comes to you and tells you that you're doing something that they don't like? I think about it like that, because and the change comes from somebody else saying, hey, this is an issue. But you have to know what you're good at first. Okay. So it's very easy as humans to get defensive and to put up all of our walls and to tell people why we've done something, right? And I think it's important that we know our strengths as an organization and as individuals first, because when you know that and you are confident in the fact that, look, we know we do these things well, like these are our strengths, these are our values, this is what it means to be in this organization, this is what we're good at, this is what I'm good at. Then when someone comes to us and says, hey, this is an issue, then we can accept it a little more graciously. You're always going to have that defensiveness. It's who we are as humans. But it's about how do we accept it graciously and see it as an opportunity for growth. It takes practice. That, I, as you were saying that, I raised my hand and said guilty when we're talking about procrastination, because it's naturally what I do. I still get defensive. I mean, ask my wife. She, every time something happens, I'm like, what do you mean? I didn't do that. It's natural as a human being. You don't like being called out. It takes practice and it takes willingness to graciously accept it.
Yeah, I think that's an important exercise that student organizations do on a regular basis. I like to do it during officer transition because, doing that SWOT assessment, looking at your strengths, your weaknesses, the opportunities and threats. Listen, every chapter has strengths and every chapter has weaknesses. I don't care who you are. We all have them. I have them, right? I mean, I got tons of weaknesses, right? But I'm aware of what my weaknesses are, and I build a team around me of people that can fill in my holes, that I know where my gaps are. And these people are looking out in those areas where I'm weak. But I also know I do certain things really, really well, right? So I'm aware of all those things, but you have to, take time out to make that assessment, to make an honest assessment, do that as a student organization, so that way you too can bring in additional students to help you out in those areas where you might be weak. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Extremely intentional. You have to be.
Yeah, I totally agree there.
Love it.
Now, freshman year can be incredibly difficult for students. We talk about the freshman 15, and let me tell my audience out here, I easily gained 15 pounds and then some, eating all of those buffalo chicken hoagies at the University of Buffalo. I mean, I was absolutely addicted to them, and suddenly I looked down and I'm like, oh my God, I am big. I need to hit the gym. Now, homesickness is an issue. Awkward roommates, I had that freshman year, the list goes on and on and on. So what is your advice for freshman college students to thrive?
Love that. So I'm gonna go back to my own freshman experience, and I'm gonna say, find your community, and to find your community, you have to put yourself out there. You have to take a risk, you have to take a chance. And I know for some people that's harder than it is for others. And finding a community doesn't mean you have to find 5, 10, 15. There's no number to it. It's about putting yourself out there and trying to find someone that you can build a connection and a bond with. It's easier to do that when you know your own personal strengths. So I often remind people that resilience starts with self-awareness. And for our first year students, freshmen are asked all the time, if you're a first year student, what's your major? What do you want to be? Why are you going to college? What do you want to be when you grow up? Like, that's asked all the time. And they're never asked, what do you believe in? What's important to you? Who are you? If you can answer those questions, who are you? What's important to you? What do you believe in? If you can answer those questions for yourself, you're going to find community 10 times faster than the rest of the students who are in there just like trying every student organization imaginable. Mm-hmm. You're going to have deeper relationships with the people in your classes and the people that you study with. And it starts with reframing why you're at school. Who are you? What do you believe in? What's important to you? And when we know that, then you put yourself out there and you take a risk and find community.
Yeah, community is so important. I mean, I think you nailed it. My first semester freshman year was miserable because I couldn't find that community and I was ready to go home. I mean, I literally called my dad and said, you know what, college is not for me. I'm coming home after this first semester and I'm not going back. Luckily, my dad said, hell no, you are going back. My son will be a college graduate. And then I went back, and then sophomore year, I was able to meet the fraternity, and the rest is history. But ultimately, that's another reason why I really believe that students should have the ability to join fraternities and sororities their first semester freshman year to find that community and be successful. Because without that organization, without that that core, that support group up at school where I was very far away from home, I would not have been successful. I think that community is so critical to student success. I mean, I can't say that enough. I can't stress that enough.
Amen. It's so critical that you were defaulting to the community that you knew. And that's what first students do. The community you knew was your family at home.
Yes.
So you wanted to go back to what was comfortable because you wanted community at school. So it is. You're right. You're right on.
Yeah, that's totally what it was for me. There's no question about that. So teach our audience about both SMART and dumb goals, the way that these differ and how they provide a variation on motivation, because a lot of our audience probably have no idea what SMART and dumb goals are.
Yeah, I love that. I think everyone sets goals, and I think it's important that we have both types of goals. Some people don't even know the difference. So a SMART goal is something that is often taught to people within college or, maybe after they graduate, but is the goal specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-oriented. So you go through that acronym, again, specific, right? Is it measurable? Is it something that I can actually track? Is it attainable? Is it actually realistic? And that's one of the key differences between a SMART goal and a dumb goal, right? Dumb goals don't always seem attainable, okay? Versus a SMART goal is like, all right, I can actually achieve this. Like if you're not a straight A student coming into college, don't set yourself up for failure and say, I'm going to get all A's. Like, be realistic, set an attainable goal. And then give yourself a time frame for it. By when are you going to complete your goal? Now, I think it's also important that we have those, what I would call dumb goals. I say dumb goals because it's the opposite of SMART, and there is no acronym for it. But a dumb goal is really just something that's aspirational, something that's motivational, something that gets you fired up, something that seems maybe way out of reach. It doesn't mean you shouldn't have it. If you only set SMART goals and we just set time-oriented things and say, I'm going to do this in the next month, well, then it gets boring, right? Like if my goal is every 2 weeks, I'm going to eat clean, and I just track that every 2 weeks, well, then after, 6 months of that, I'm going to be like, this has no purpose. Why am I doing this? Versus if my goal is to live until I'm 103, okay, that might seem dumb, but there's purpose behind it. So we have to have both of them if we're going to be successful. And then really, truly, goals have to be tied to a purpose. There has to be a reason why we're doing it.
Mm-hmm. Great advice there. Not a lot of people talk about the dumb goals, but I see what you're saying there. I mean, it is important to have some overarching idea of what it is that you're chasing, even if it's a stretch, right? I mean, that's okay.
Yep, I'm gonna be the next Simon Sinek or some crazy, professional speaker that everyone knows.
Right.
realistically, I might not ever get there, but if I don't try to get there, there's no chance that I'm going to get there.
Right. That helps, I think, with the SMART goals. Tactically, what do I need to do to get there? Even though I'll grant you that it's ambitious. And I think everybody should have some of these ambitious goals. I mean, even in your chapter, talk about what is it that you want within your chapter? What is that ambitious goal? If you want to live in Frat Castle, then just say, I want to live in Frat Castle. Now, that might not happen tomorrow, right? That takes time. That takes alumni. That takes resources. That takes enough men or women to fill the house, right? All of these things. But it's okay to dream. And like, you know, we need to dream big. Like, that's okay.
Amen.
Yeah. All right. So, you know, the other thing that I thought was really interesting about you, you're always talking about chasing the awesome life. Tell our audience, what is chasing the awesome life?
Chasing the awesome life is what your audience is doing. You know, it's what every one of us is doing. We all are striving to be better. It's why you're a part of an organization. Chasing the awesome life is really, truly, at the end of the day, it's a mindset. It's a mindset that you want to constantly improve, but at the same time, you're still grateful for what you got. Chasing oftentimes means appreciating. It means slowing down. It means being purposeful. It means being intentional. It means finding community. Chasing the awesome life for me is a reminder that everyone has the potential to be the best version of themselves. For me, truly, it comes from personally, chasing the awesome life comes from and is based on my son, Cal. So chasing the awesome life. Calvin is 1 in 59. 1 in 59 kids is diagnosed with having autism. And I found out 3 years ago that my son, Calvin, has autism. And it really, truly changed my perspective on life, leadership, resilience, and the potential that we all have. And I said, I want him to chase his own awesome life, whatever that looks like. And I want every student to do the same.
Wow, that is beautiful. That is beautifully said. I'm so happy that you found that connection and you're continuing to show students that they can chase their awesome life as well, whatever that looks like. And that's going to be different for everybody, right?
Yep.
Oh, man, that is beautiful. That is beautiful stuff. All right. Now you are in the Conway, South Carolina area. And,
Yes,
you know, when it's not a pandemic, I am traveling often to South Carolina.
Yes.
So what is your favorite restaurant there in Conway and what are you ordering?
Okay. So the best restaurant that I go to here, and it's the best restaurant to me because I go to it all the time. Okay. It's a place called Handley's Pub. And it is a local watering hole, tiny bar restaurant. Again, though, let's go back to community. Handley is owned by a gentleman named Andrew Handley. Handley went to Coastal, so he's a Coastal alum. All right, so he has that connection to me. He also works out at the same CrossFit gym where I work out, and he likes to run and do marathons. So I have a connection to the place, but I go there because one, the food is fantastic. It's all homemade, fresh, just wonderful food. But I love the atmosphere of the people there. I can go right now because they have outdoor dining, and even when it's a little chillier here, it's heated, so it's fantastic and safe. And what I am getting boneless bites. Those are my absolute favorite. They're a little bit healthier than some other things, but they have 1,000 different flavors. Honey barbecue is my personal favorite. With some homemade ranch, just love it. So Handley's Pub, the best place for me locally in Conway, South Carolina.
Can I get those in buffalo flavor? Do they have those?
They do. Yes, they definitely have buffalo flavor.
All right. So I'm going to get the buffalo and you're going to get the other version. We're both going to be happy. All right, good. I just want to make sure.
Love it.
That sounds really good. All right. So let's assume that somebody in our audience listening right now wants to book you for an upcoming program. Maybe they want to connect with you on social media. Where should they go for more information about the awesome Nick D?
Love it. So the best place to find me is going to be my website, chasingtheawesomelife.com. You can get to all my social media on there. You can email me from that. You can also follow me on Instagram or Facebook. It's at Chasing the Awesome Life. That's going to be the best place to get in touch with me. Feel free, just send me a DM or follow me, and I'm happy to be in touch with people and help us all to start chasing the awesome life, because to do that, you got to start embracing the suck.
Wow. I love that. I love your energy. I love the, chasing the awesome life. I love the suck, all of it. I think it's all relevant right now. So thank you for what you're
Amen.
doing. I know the students that are listening right now absolutely had a blast with this. So if you are listening and you love Nick's message, be sure to like this, be sure to share this message with others on social media. This has been a lot of fun, Nick, and I hope you just keep doing what you're doing, man, because this is awesome. And I know we're going to see each other on a stage real soon.
Sure will. I love it. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's my pleasure. And thank you to our listening audience. We will see you on another episode of Fraternity Foodie. Bye for now.